It being 7:30, I'll go ahead and we have a quorum, so I will call this meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Rules Committee of the Representative Town Meeting. And first item on the agenda is approving the minutes for April 30. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
A second? Thank you, Mark. Corrections, additions? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving them? Okay. Opposed? I see none. Abstentions? It's unanimous. Minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is procedure in the event the town budget is not approved by the RTM. There were rumblings prior to the budget meeting that, oh, what happens if it doesn't? And so that prompted me to go back to town council and say, well, please clarify this for me. He produced two conflicting state statutes, none of which seems to solve the issue at all. It just sort of says, well, these people who can appropriate money, they could do it. Take action to carry us over, or it could be the Board of Selectmen. And so it became apparent that the other thing we found after a little research is that different towns have different procedures, because the way the state statutes are written, you can sort of do what you want as long as it gets you to a result. So I would suggest that we turn it over to TGS&A, plus I think F&B and education probably.
Or Frank.
Right?
Frank's like, no.
I think F&B and ed as well.
We only have tough problems, okay?
Well, we got to deal with it because we don't have anything in writing. And
Sure, that's good.
yes, sir, Tom.
It came up once before, 7 years back, right, where I thought it was that if it's turned down, the budget is prior year's budget.
Well, that starts, yeah. Your referral is back to the prior year's budget for spending. However, it looks like it's written so broad because it's got to cover so many towns. It looks like the Board of Finance could increase spending where required if the budget wasn't going to make it. That's the modern interpretation. So
they could also decrease it if they wanted to. Just beware that it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. And the other thing that it's not just the education budget, it's the selectmen's budget and it's the capital budget. So we're not targeting anything, we're really covering our bases to make sure that we know what to do should anything come up along the way.
All right.
And I thank the Education Committee, the F&B Committee, and TGS&A for undertaking this arduous task. Appendix B.
Yeah.
Frank and Jack.
Well, I just got back, and July isn't going to be much better, but we can start in August and September. So anybody who's around for the summer and want to add to their pain, we can go back to Appendix B.
So I guess...
I think the first thing that we have to do, and it was something that was suggested, is we need to go and go what the old Appendix B was. When we're adding something, what the new thing is, if we're taking it away, what the new thing is written, but so we can have the new one here, the old one here, so people have a comparison of what we're doing. And that will take a little bit of time to go and effectuate. I may see, I just need somebody who can set it up on the same page doing this. But that was suggested, and it's absolutely the right way to review this. And then we'll go and make comments on the items that we've had input on. Look, at the the end, we want it to be right. So, and so that we don't have to change this for another 30 years, or until we build the incinerator that's still in there.
Okay. Sound good, Frank?
We're ready to go.
All right.
By the way, we're gonna do all of our interviews on Frank's vote, so if we don't agree with you, there is
Just
a
throw 'em
plank-
overboard.
Right, there's a plank to walk on.
All right.
Mr. Moderator, before we move on, the three committees on the previous item were F&B, TGS&A, who was their? Education.
Education.
Got it.
TTS and A is primary.
Yes.
Do we have to vote on that then, for signings?
Yes,
All right. I'll take a motion to do that.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right. Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I see none. It's unanimous, no abstentions. Okay. Update on noise.
Okay. Well, I'm Matt Patrick, I chair the Public Health and Safety Committee. And as I gave my report at the last Rules Committee meeting, our committee voted unanimously not to move forward with pursuing an additional noise ordinance, adding to the existing town ordinance as it is. Since that time, what I got some additional information from Wayne Fox, that he reiterated our belief that the town follows the state statutes that the police use, and he concurred that those are all accurate. In addition, we also had work by the students that are here, the interns. So thank you very much. And what they looked at were the hours of operation that other towns use for contractors, landscapers, painters, outdoor workmen. And they varied. Some were tighter than what we use, but they're all kind of in the same ballpark, so we felt good about that. So thank you for your work.
Matt, can you tell us those hours so we know?
Of each of the other
The
towns?
individual hours.
Well, for our
The
town.
start
For our
time.
town, we follow the state, and the thing is, it's kind of interesting. Contractors can start at 7 in the morning, and they can work until 9 o'clock at night. Those are the set hours, but that's not what practically happens. They don't pay workers to work those kind of hours. Most contractors start a little bit later in the morning. And this, I had a long meeting with Jeremy about this, and rarely do they work late into the evening. They usually knock off 5, 6 o'clock. And that's pretty much in line with other communities.
7. What did you say, 7?
7
to
till
what?
9.
7 to 9 or the state is what the state allows.
Was there any discussion around 7 being too early, like an 8 o'clock start instead?
Not really, because there isn't really an issue. I mean, we went with the complaints that the police get. There just aren't complaints of contractors starting that early. And a lot of this can just be addressed locally with your neighbors.
Right.
That's really what
Sure.
we're working towards, is neighbors
Right.
working with each other. If your neighbor's contractor seems to be coming early, have a conversation with them.
Yes, agreed.
So
All right,
that's
thank
what-
you. I just wanted
Yeah.
another perimeter
Sure.
for the record. Thank you.
So it sounds to me like, I put this on here this time because we wanted to continue to track it a little bit.
Mhm.
It sounds to me like this is a topic we can take off the Rules Committee.
Yes, what I want to do at this point is have a little follow-up meeting with Frank in his committee, and then we collectively will present to the, attend the selectmen meeting and present to them our findings. And I'll go into a lot more detail than what I'm giving right now.
Okay, well then I'll leave it on and until after your presentation is made.
So I don't.
Is there anything else, Lois, you want to add?
Yeah, I just think, unless people object, I don't think there's a reason to bring it to the RTM, since we're not changing any rules or doing anything. And we can put out a notice after the presentation to the Board of Selectmen that if people want an update on what happened and where it is, here it is, or, I
Yeah,
can talk about it at an RTM meeting if you
I can
want.
anticipate it being added to the what you call it, the Friday night thing that John puts out.
Mhm.
Is that weekly, monthly? Just with an explanation of.
Newsletter. If you
Right, right.
And encourage, the thesis of the group was that let's have the neighbors talk to each other and support each other. And basically, and that would fit right in line with the kind of things that are in the newsletter that comes out of the first selectman's office.
Right.
Okay.
Good, thank you.
The topics for the RTM agenda, the start time for RTM meetings. There has been a survey done. Lois?
What's the results? Curious.
No. So anyway, we did what we called a straw poll vote, and you all saw it because you all saw the questions and things like that. And thanks to Krista for organizing and making it happen. Okay, and Mike is gonna, Mike's got it. And Mike did a lot of the analytics, and I did some of the analytics. So Mike's gonna give us an overview of what happens. And the idea behind the process was that we would do this straw poll to see what people think. And based on, and then bring it back to us, the Rules Committee, to understand what people said. And then we can decide what we want to do going forward. The intention was, it wasn't a vote, it was more information, just so we had a feel for what was going on. Okay, Mike?
90 responded, 31% said either, 7:30 or 8, 49% preferred 7:30, 20% preferred 8 p.m. 8 people did not respond. 7 people did not respond.
Can you repeat that, please?
31% said either, 7:30 or 8, 49% said 7:30, and 20% said 8 p.m. And 3 people said they would be unable to serve if the time were changed.
One of whom has missed about 5 of the last 6 meetings.
Krista, could you repeat that? It's hard to hear down here.
I'm sorry, one of whom has had less than stellar attendance to date.
Yeah,
FYI.
I can't remember who those 3 are.
Doesn't matter, just a data point.
I can't
And
remember who they
Susan,
are.
just for your knowledge, we stayed on it. It wasn't, we sent it out and all these people responded.
Oh, no, I was gonna say this phenomenal response.
Because we
Okay.
tracked and we followed up and we, because we
You
wanted.
could have just got taken the
Actually-
credit.
Actually, less than 7 did not respond because we have vacancies. So a vacant person cannot respond.
But
So
that's
that's the
great,
7.
that's the 3, that's the 7.
That's the 7.
Okay.
That, they're in the 7. Oh, but no, that was the
That's 7 of the 10.
197.
That's the 7 of the 10.
You guys, it's great, it's great, just, let's just say it's great, we don't need to go into the details.
More than show up.
It's
Have we had
positive
any
stuff.
thought about just making the 2 meetings a year start earlier, the budget meeting and perhaps the state of the town meeting?
I think we should put it to a vote of the members to see what they want.
Yeah, that's the intention.
The intention is let the members vote what they want.
But I would suggest that.
So we did the poll and then we're gonna do a vote as well?
Yeah, but this goal is just to get a sense of, is there a desire for it? So let the body vote.
So what will the question be that we will propose?
Do you want to start the meeting at 7:30?
The proposal is the meeting starting the next year will be starting at 7:30, yes or no?
But so is that, are we doing another poll or are we
No.
doing a
No, we're
resolution?
doing a resolution.
Okay.
No, we already did a poll, now we're talking about a resolution.
Right, I
Yeah.
want to make sure, we're
Yeah.
talking about a resolution then.
Yeah.
So the idea of having alternate times sort of satisfies some need, but I think it's just gonna confuse people.
Yes.
I 100% agree, as soon as you change.
Just a thought, because
Yeah,
again,
no.
because really, if you think about it, the budget meeting is so long, and to start it at 8, and as I mentioned at the last meeting when we discussed this, we talked about, well, if we make it early and it means some people can't make it because of train and work commitment, that will be a concern, but I would also had argued then, and I would put it out there again now, that, you know, the 8 o'clock start is putting people off from even running perhaps, because they don't want to be out that late. So I'm not sure that looking at X number of people who can't, like you said, I think it was 3, wouldn't be able to participate. You may get 6 more that can participate earlier, so just gonna be careful of that. And to me, the only real impact for on people was the budget meeting. Which is
The other-
hard for people to stay up that late.
The other people that can't make 7:30, they can come late. I mean, it's not ideal, but, you know, that's certainly an alternative if they really wanna serve. So they come half an hour.
All the
later.
committee meetings start at 7:30. Other than,
Oh.
it would be difficult, might be difficult to have a meeting before the RTM meeting. You know, it would have to be at 6:30 rather than 7.
Oh.
Okay, so I would accept a nomination to make the technology committee primary on this and report out.
So, I'm still, if in fact we're going to be doing this for the next legislative year, do we want it on the September agenda that we're going to do? I mean, this,
We want it on the June agenda.
I'd want it on sooner.
okay,
Prior, so they
You'd
know
have
for
to
the
decide.
election
That's
year,
right.
because
That's
we
right.
talked
The
about that
paperwork.
at a
okay,
previous
so it
meeting.
will be another item in June. Okay, I just want to know what the timing is, because
Yeah.
that wasn't specific.
Because
So-
for anybody running in August, you know what the meetings are gonna start at 7:30.
Yeah.
So what is that resolution?
So we need a resolution now.
Right.
And we need to vote on it. That's what I
And
think
assign
Mark
it.
and I are saying the
would
same
assign.
thing. If that's what we're gonna do, then do it.
Right, so
Okay.
do you want to propose a resolution then?
Sure, the RTM meetings will start at 7:30.
Should
Starting,
the RTM meeting start
Starting
at
with the next, starting in November.
Will or
is that right?
should?
Will,
Will.
Will.
should,
Well, you vote yes or no on that.
yeah,
seven? Did they think-
should.
Oh, I don't,
no, we
wait,
did
no.
will.
Will.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Michael. All in favor? Noes? You don't see any?
I'm
Unanimous.
a no. There's
I'm a
two
no.
no's.
Okay, 2 noes. Look too quickly. Gotta give that hand up, Jackie. don't
Can we understand your
Okay.
no's? Is that okay to ask them whether they know?
We can move on, there's enough stuff to do. I think I'd explain my no's.
I? Okay, next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. That has no committee assigned at the moment. I would suggest since Susan Marks went out and got the signature, she's in a sense the sponsor, we could recognize her and have her make the motion before the RTM. So can I have a motion to have her as the, let's say, the proponent? Thank you. Second, thank you. Discussion? All in favor? Okay. Noes? I'm looking more carefully now. Thank you. Okay.
Is that on this?
You okay with that, Susan?
Fine, yeah.
Okay.
Is this June or moving it to September?
June. We've got people from outside, electors of the town who signed a petition, and it's been on the table for several months, and it's time to vote on it.
Who was the second on that motion? You were? Thank you.
So Wayne will write the resolution for that?
Right, I saw one, we'll get one and distribute it to everybody. We're good that we've got Susan doing that, and then we'll set the agenda here later. Reimbursement to the state for the Central Office Mather Center project,
That's
an F&B.
Yep.
Can I have a motion to make F&B primary? I don't think there are any others.
No,
Okay, so I've got a
From
motion
County.
from Susan and a second from Patty. All in favor? Okay, opposed? I see none, okay. It's unanimous. Next item is the Green Bank Agreement Amendment, F&B.
yeah, I'd like to understand what they're amending this time, because the last time we amended, what we basically were saying is that municipalities no longer had to collect for the green bank. So I just like to basically understand what we're doing now. So I'll communicate with,
Town council?
yeah.
All right.
Is there any background on that? Because a lot of people don't know what that is.
It's, yeah, I have it, and I read it, but it's so
It
much.
doesn't help reading that splotchy.
No, it's what it is. Back almost 15 years ago,
2014.
10 years ago. You know,
Give or take, 2014.
yeah. The town, the Green Bank is a state organization for which the receipt of funds was being passed through municipalities. So if a town was participating, the municipality had to sign an agreement with the Green Bank to do collection of certain funds, to pass that over to the Green Bank for, I forget exactly. but-
Administered, right,
Yeah,
essentially?
yeah, we were administering. Then there was an amendment that said, towns, you don't have to collect this money anymore. We'll do it directly. So that was done, that was the most recent one done. And so, what this new amendment is, I know it exists, I was on the chain of emails that were going on, but nobody specifically said what this new amendment is.
Right, what's an example? I'm looking for what an example, like, I'm not against it, I'm just trying to better define what's an example of one we.
And I have to go, let me get to my page.
Jack, I thought it had to, I vaguely remember, didn't it have to do with the financing of, when we put something on the roofs of
Right, yeah,
buildings?
it's
Yeah.
any green,
Any green type of thing,
Yeah.
but, I have the original document hidden in these papers.
This was voted on by the RTM amendment in March of 2021. You voted on to amend it.
It was
That's it.
originally voted on by the Board of Selectmen, and then because it's an agreement on that, it came to the RTM. I have the original document, but I have a lot of.
So it's green focus, that's,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, environmental,
it's-
all right,
it's-
that's good. I was just, there was no real kind of defining thing on it.
Chris,
Thank you, that's fine, Jack,
Did
thank
that
you.
previous amendment have to do with the town having to do the collections?
Yeah, that's what it was.
And is this one to alleviate the town from having to?
Yeah, that, no, that was the prior one, it was amendment,
That's
was
the
alleviated
2021
Okay.
from doing it.
amendment.
Okay. So it's some changes to commercial property assessed clean energy, or a CPACE program. And that's what the basic green bank is. It's designed as an economic tool to attract low-cost capital into our state for the purpose of energy upgrades to buildings. Municipalities opt in and execute the CPAC agreement that requires them to bill and collect on behalf of the Green Bank. At the inception of the program, it was determined that municipal billing and collection of benefit assessment payments would make the program both more attractive and more creditworthy. In the February 21 amendment, they said we don't have to do the collection anymore. That's why, until I speak to town council to understand what they're now asking us to do, I can't give you any more information. I don't know if they're asking us to collect again, or there was another minor change. But I do know from the email chain that was going on, that everybody perceives this to be an extremely minor second amendment. So, we'll give a report of what the Green Bank is, what the last one is, and what this new one is, and it should take no more than 5 minutes to report
Thank you.
on and vote.
yeah, the problem is that when they change it, then we have to change all of ours, it's a pain. Okay, so did we do a motion here for F&B to be primary?
We didn't get that.
My motion from Susan, second please. Okay, Lois. Any questions? Okay, all in favor? Okay, opposed? I see none, it's unanimous. Next, special appropriation for security, $1,074,000. Education primary, F&B secondary.
Just so that,
Jack, would you, I realize this might be delicate, but I got an issue here, you know?
well, so does a couple others. I received an email from somebody that says basically, there's two things here. One part I can talk about, and the other part I can't, all right?
Can you elaborate why you can't talk, just for,
It's
Right,
security.
security.
You don't tell the Nazis what the D-Day plan is.
For the
I mean,
people
to
watching
be quite
us tomorrow.
blunt about it. So the basic thing is that there's 2 code words that we're allowed to report on here. The first one is we're hardening the exterior of buildings. The second one is we're improving communications. That is the report. Now, I did get a comment from somebody, which was kind of humorous because I agreed with it. The RTM is going to be relying upon Ed Washeka and Jack Davis saying to pass this or not, with solely mentioning those words that I mentioned. Now, I know that's not typically how we spend $1 million around here, but it's not much more than we can do. I will say 2 things. There was an executive session attended by members of the Board of Selectmen, members of the Board of Finance, members of the Board of Education, Ed Washeka, and 4 members from F&B. So we discussed in detail what was there. So at least when F&B deals with this next Monday, we will be going into executive session. The Board of Finance, when they address this matter, also went into executive session. When we come out, all we'll do is a vote. That's the security aspect. The other aspect, which I've been extremely vocal on, is that the Board of Finance violated town policy in how this was done. And I have a big problem with that. The problem is that something was done at a school that was not originally approved, but as soon as they did it at one elementary school, it meant that at least 4 other elementary schools were going to have the same hardening of the exterior. From the original estimate, that meant that those 5 schools' projects became a $1 million project. Under town protocol, anytime there's a $1 million project going for our schools, number one, a building committee is supposed to be established by the Board of Selectmen, and a report to the Board of Selectmen was supposed to be done. That was not done. It was then added to the 3 other schools, and now 3 more. My estimate about the total project is someplace in the neighborhood of $1.5 to $2 million. The fact that the Board of Ed, this should have been part of the budget process, because neither the Board of Selectmen, I said this in the executive session, was supported by other members, and unfortunately Jim Palin wasn't at that meeting, and I don't need to speak for Jim, but he would have said the same thing because the 2 of us are singing a duet on this. The only group that determines how to pay for things is the Board of Finance and the RTM. The Board of Education, by making this a special appropriation, was then pushing the envelope by determining how the amount is being paid. And that's contrary to school policy, to the town policy. I've been told that other towns do security issues off-cycle. My response is, I don't give a blank about what other towns in the state do. There's a reason why we are AAA rated, because we have certain fiscal responsible policies, and we're going to adhere to it. There's a commitment being, and by the way, because of this, it affects what our taxes are, because this reduced the amount that we have in the general fund. And so what happens is that Moody's just came out with a new method of calculating what the balances should be for towns. And when Seth called me when I was in Europe about the Great Island item, he said, oh, well, you know, we have a special appropriation. I said, we don't have a special appropriation. They have to bond it, because even at, I now have the new rate for what it's going to be. I got a text from Monica. Even with that amount, because this amount was being used for a special appropriation, the funds were not available for yet another special appropriation and still have the cushion that we need to operate in fiscal '25. So they affected the budget this year. I also mentioned in that meeting that the RTM, at its sole discretion, has the right for any special appropriation to require a supplemental tax. And had this been a larger amount, I would have on the floor of the RTM not made it a special appropriation, but required a supplemental tax. The problem is that at $1 million, it would have added about 9 basis points to our total mill rate. But the problem is that at this time, bills are already being prepared to be sent out, and the 9 basis points is too much to affect. Real estate's easy, because we could have always added it to the January bill. But all the personal property bills for all the cars are going out and is payable July. And to send out those bills, it would cost more to send out the bill than the 25 cents we would be collecting on the cars. So this, from a process perspective, is not how we should be running a town when we know what the processes are. Jay-Z will be leading an effort during the summer to ensure that this is not how things are done in the future. So that's what I can talk about. I've been very vocal on it because I like process on this type of stuff. And so the rest of it, I'm sorry, the only thing we're going to be able to say, other than the committees will know and they'll give their report, is we're hardening the exterior of the building and we're improving the communications. And that's the report. And so it'll be 2 short reports, since there's not much else we can report on. So,
Jack, is it clear why this wasn't made part of the budget process? Because I've read that stuff, I couldn't.
yeah, clear as mud. The fact of the matter is because the philosophy is that we told the Board of Ed if they needed things off cycle, they could bring things off cycle. That was number one. But that was, you know, by the way, this went off cycle, but an $18,000 air conditioner for the Tokenique School, where we had the servers in, they were going to let that sit around until the budget process, until we mentioned it during the tour, which said, so we're going to burn out tens of thousands of dollars of servers, and that's the thing for $18,000 you should be going back to the Board of Finance for, to make sure that's off cycle, so we're protecting the technology in this room that's overheating. The other thing that I heard was other towns bring security and an off-cycle thing. And I basically said, I don't care what other towns do, except I didn't say it as nicely as that. So that's basically it.
All right.
But at least the new director of security will be involved in these discussions, and they're going to understand that certain things are supposed to be brought through a budget process. And by the way, if you have $1 million going into schools, you're supposed to have a building committee, and you're supposed to bring it to the Board of Selectmen because they own the schools. So
Okay.
I'm done with my soapbox.
No, well,
Welcome home, John.
I'm right there with you. We are under increasing pressure from a budgetary standpoint in this town. The percentage increases are going up, and so process on stuff like this isn't $100,000, it's $1 million.
This
And
is-
so process is important.
This is also, if I start counting it out, there were security enhancements brought up in August about 3 years ago. Regardless of how you look at the SSOs, and I'm not saying one way or another, the fact that they use their own funds for that, that was also brought off cycle. And had they not used their own funds, that 550,000, whatever, would have been returned to the town coffers, which could have been used for something else. That was brought off cycle. There was another off cycle initiative, and I'm not saying I'm against any of these things, but the director of mental health, which I do support, was also brought off cycle. So, you know, this just isn't how we run our town. So that will be addressed. That's all I can say. Hopefully.
Okay, can I have a motion to assign education primary and F&B secondary on this item? Okay, thank you, Susan. Second, please. Thank you, Michael. Discussion, I think we've had some. All in favor? Okay. Opposed, I see none. Abstentions, I see none. Passes. Special appropriation for Great Island, $2 million.
No longer. The special
Hush
appropriation,
my mouth.
special appropriation that was just approved by the Board of Selectmen as we were meeting down here is $1,425,000.
Jack, can you define that as could you please define the exact bid price we accepted and then the contingency, just so people know the difference?
I will,
Thank you.
at the time, I think Mark is maybe in a better position
Okay,
to
great.
do it, but there
Great.
was a
But we have the number, we have the
Right,
overall.
there's a negotiated bid, we are hiring a second consultant, and then there's contingency. So, does that sort of wrap it up?
It does, I don't know the figures that you just recently got off the press, but I understand that's the process.
So we'll know more on the 17th, we'll have more specific.
We'll know more on Wednesday and on, because you guys are having a meeting,
Yes.
and Monica will be joining F&B on the 10th. So,
Okay, so can I have a motion to make F&B primary?
I'll move the motion.
Okay, Patty, second?
Second?
Okay,
so what we're
Yes.
proposing is F&B will explain what the financial ramifications are. We're also going to explain what our role and responsibilities are. F&B, the RTM does not have the right or the authority to choose which vendor is used. That's solely the responsibility and the purview of the Board of Selectmen. What we in the Board of Finance are doing is determining what the appropriation that we're authorizing and how we're going to pay for it, which in this particular case will be by bonds. Whether or not we had input, you have to understand that both the Board of Finance and the RTM had excellent representation, and still does, on that committee. And they input what was going on. There are 4 phases. This is dealing with phase 1 and 2 only. The conversation I had with Seth is F&B will give the financial aspects of this, and then Mark Adeletta, not as chair of Public Works, but as our representative on that committee, will explain phases 1 and 2, what the deliverables are, and Monica will also be there. I have also, and Monica, when I spoke to her before the Board of Selectmen meeting, I asked her for a better executive summary than what we received from Jen, which was a financial executive summary. And I jokingly said there was more information in the newsletter that Marley Hayes put out that I got in the executive summary. And so Monica's putting something together. I did have a concern, and I'm gonna ask Mark to address this, but I did have a concern that while they're talking about input and engagement, or whatever the code words are that they've been using, from the community, I had not seen the word governance, although it was in the Marley Hayes item. So Mark and I called, and Mark's in much better shape to answer governance at this time than I am.
So the first two phases have many, many layers that are within the scope that's going to be covered. But two of the areas that came up in every single meeting and were in most and all the proposals, and definitely in the proposals that were considered and accepted.
Mark, I'm sorry, could you speak up just a bit?
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, thank you.
Good. All the proposal, and apparently the proposal has been finalized, has a key component regarding the gathering information from multiple constituencies, various methods of doing this, whether it be workshops, et cetera. And then with respect to governance, there were multiple methods of governance introduced as possibilities, none of which have been decided on, but will be partially decided upon based on the input from the first phase I just described, which is the information gathering and the fact gathering. Fact gathering being the gathering information that's already been gathered that's factual regarding the site, the rules and the laws, and then the input from the constituencies, the public, et cetera. So those are two major components in phase one and phase two of the proposal that's the input being appropriated for.
Do 4 phases have generic names?
Phase
What
one,
are
phase two.
the 4
I
phases?
thought there were key words from the newspaper
That-
of each phase.
Yeah, I don't want
The
to,
graphs, the matrix has the four names of
Yeah.
those four phases.
the later stages, 3 and 4, have to do with things like engineering, design, and cost estimates and things of that sort, which clearly cannot be pursued without phase 1 and 2, where you're gathering input and data. So the exact 4 phases, I don't have my great
I'm
iron.
looking at it.
You're looking at
I'm
them?
looking, I hope I keep talking and I'll put it in. It says, phase 1, creating a vision. Oh, Mark, you should read it because you're the. And
Yeah, so project familiarization, that's the information gathering, vision plan development, mission and vision, public stakeholder review and input, multiple methods for doing that, public outreach and review.
this is phase 2,
Now we're moving into phase 2, which is called creating a master plan and concept design.
estimated.
Yep.
What was the title for phase one?
Creating a vision plan,
Okay, and phase two is,
creating a master plan and concept design.
and phase three is? They don't-
This is only covering phase 1 and 2.
No, I know, it's just
Oh,
so,
sorry, I thought it had the whole, I
Yeah,
thought
no,
it had the
it
other
doesn't. It doesn't.
phase, sorry.
But it entails coming up with more the design
Phase 4 is actually construction.
construction.
and construction, so
Phase
design.
4 is construction.
Yep,
And Mark, are these on the website under like the Great Island Advisory?
they are.
They are? Okay, so I'll go to
Yeah,
that.
all this information is under the,
Mark, who was the selected vendor?
Reed, how
Reed Hildebrand. From
Mark,
the-
can you just talk about the firm a little bit? They're a
I'm gonna
little bit more
defer.
local.
I'm going to defer until the GIAC
Oh, okay, got it.
presents it.
All right, then, can I have a motion?
Who was the
Yes.
second on
Just
that
have a-
motion?
Oh,
Who was the second on that motion?
I can second.
You were second? Thank you.
Will we be expecting a different resolution from that which was distributed to rules then?
yeah, because the number's
Okay,
gonna
okay,
change.
just wanted to confirm so I'm aware of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Okay, and then a description also.
Right,
Monica said she's working on one
Okay. Oh, yeah, no, for the 17th, I'm just,
Yeah.
so I have everything what you guys will expect
No,
on the 17th.
I understand, you want something that we can send out,
Yeah.
and I said what we received from Jen was gonna not
Okay.
satisfy the RTM.
Okay, great.
Okay, so, F&B and
Then
Mark,
Well, that's not a committee, that's just,
you,
Well, Susan wanted a committee either, so there you go.
there you
It's
go.
fine.
We just appoint you, you'll be there.
I'll be there.
Do I have a motion for that, please?
So moved.
Thank you. A second, please?
I second.
Oh, Jack, okay, all in favor?
Anything else?
Okay. Opposed, I see none. Abstentions, I see none. Motion passes. Next item is Board of Ed deficit, 181,250, education primary, F&B secondary.
We can actually talk on this one,
Oh, well,
although I will.
I hadn't noticed a shortage, but go ahead.
The fact of the matter is that they're saying it's special ed, and while there were some hits to special ed, there also was a big difference that also contributed to their deficit, and that is every year there is an anticipation that when teachers leaves, we will replace those teachers at a lower salary. That has not been the case this year, and so what was budgeted in fiscal year '24 ended up, and I was tracking the numbers, I didn't follow the last one. So, it's in the finance committee, report at the Board of Ed, and I just didn't have a chance to read it yet. But that also was significantly under what was budgeted. And so it's the combination of those two which has created the deficit. On the positive note, they started at about 700,000. We also had a situation, one of the things that just came up recently is they budgeted 70% excess cost reimbursement, and the state is only giving 67%. And while you're saying 3%, these are big numbers. And so that also may create a little bit of a problem that the Board of Ed is dealing with when they're looking at their 2025 fiscal year budget. Also, they're having to take that into account because, again, they budgeted 70, but now when they're recasting their budget, it appears as if they may be using 67%. That's the max I can tell you because I'm not yet caught up on it.
Okay. So, motion, please, education primary, F&B secondary.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, Jack. All in favor? Okay.
Was Jack second or
Jack was second. I saw
Or you could take it.
Susan sliding in.
You can take it.
Susan got it?
Just a question again on this, there was no supporting documentation for this resolution. Is there
Right.
anything, do you think the RTM requires, wants, needs any supporting documentation for this resolution?
Yes,
Or
we do.
just Jack speaking, which is fine too?
Ed and Jack will give the numbers. There
Okay.
was an executive summary that I have a copy of.
It's not in our packet.
It wasn't in the, I didn't see it. Okay,
It's-
the executive summary for the
Jack, I
security.
think it was at one of the, at the Board of Finance, I've seen the summary.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe
Well,
I may
didn't get-
have it because of Jen being copied on what was sent to the Board of Finance.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, Jack.
Okay, I didn't, if you
I'll
don't
make
feel
su-
you need it, I don't wanna add papers
I'll
to.
make sure
Okay,
that
You got
Jill and Adley send you something.
okay, thank you.
good, okay. Easement approvals for Hanson Road, 2 places, and Hollow Tree Ridge Road. PZNH primary, F&B secondary.
Yeah.
These, all 3 easements are private property?
Yes.
Yeah.
1 commercial, 2 residential. Well, if you want to call the country club commercial.
Discussion. Okay, motion to make PCNH primary and F&B secondary. Thank you, Mark.
So I do have a question. In our resolutions that we received, we have 3 different resolutions. The Board of Selectmen appear to have done it in a single resolution. So are we going to have 3 resolutions or 1?
I guess if that's the way they did it, we'll do it with whatever, if they did one, then I guess that's what we need. I'll check with town council
We were
for the
given
proper
one.
way to do it.
We were given one resolution by town council.
Okay, all right, so we'll go, it'll be one resolution.
Okay.
Did you get the second?
There was a second
Yes,
there.
yes, Adele Connor. Okay, all in favor? All right, opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Rescinding part of the bonding resolution for Great Island. There's a moment of truth, huh? 11,693,000 F&B primary.
Yep. And what we'll do is we'll explain they bonded or done bond anticipation notes of approximately 91 mil. I'll explain what the breakout is because they have been moving some of that money around. I'll explain that only part of that was used for the actual purchase of the property there. There was approximately $6.4 million that was allocated for remediation, legal fees, the purchase of the circle. We still have widening of the road there. They've spent $1.8 million to date as of the last Board of Finance meeting. So I'll give that explanation. And then the rest is rescinded. The bond counsel was very specific that both the Board of Finance and the RTM need to approve rescinding this, but this makes all of us extremely happy.
Who would have thunk it, huh? Okay, can I have a motion make
I'll make the
F&B?
motion. I'll
Patty, second from Lois. All in favor?
Yep.
Boy, I gotta be quick here. I see no opposition, no abstentions, motion passes. Okay, set the agenda for the warning. I just kind of cut and pasted these if you have a different order you'd like, but I'll walk through it. Call to order, acceptance of the agenda, approval of the minutes of May 13, approve new start time for RTM meetings.
No.
You want to do that different?
Yes, absolutely. We have members of the Board of Ed that are employees that will be at this meeting.
Okay,
They go first.
all right. All right, so we'll move,
The $1 million.
So we're gonna build
for
181.
Not mentioned, it's like.
Security.
Security and the Board of Ed
Yes,
deficit, yep.
all right.
Number
so-
1, deficit number 2, and then quite honestly, because Monica will also be there, and she's attending a lot of meetings to keep us all informed, Monica should be number 2 on Great Island.
Well, isn't Ed gonna be there for the easement of
I don't know, I can find out. We can do the easement
I mean, if he's gonna be there, I
Then
think
put him
he comes
first.
after the Board of Ed.
after the Board of Ed, I agree.
Nothing
And
against
then,
what is left.
and then Monica afterwards, those should be the first 4.
Okay, so we've got, I'm looking for, where is, the only one we had for
Is
The
Ed
Board
gonna be
of
there though
Ed
with public
was-
I
works?
don't know, but
We
we
just
can
talked
do the,
about that.
the only
I
one we
didn't
had
hear
was the
you.
Board of
Sorry.
Ed, that's
Okay.
right, so that comes right after the minutes.
right.
So that's gonna be 4. Then we go to Great Island, you're saying?
No, we'll do the easements,
Okay,
just in case Ed is there.
Correct.
5, okay.
And, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Monica,
Great Island is 6, okay.
And then,
Great.
Rent.
Seven.
and then what else do we have
The
that's?
reimbursement.
Is she part of the reimbursement?
The central office reimbursement.
You wanna
Should be
do
less.
that as
It's an
7?
accounting issue. They,
Yeah,
That's
so-
that's a
You
report
wanna do
that
the
I'll.
bring back before that? Where do you want, we've done.
I don't care what we do. I just,
Okay.
after that, it doesn't really matter.
All right,
Again.
I think I have it.
I don't care.
I mean, the 67,000 is from the project that just keeps on giving.
Right.
So if you want to just read the order then again that you have?
Yeah, going, approve the minutes. We're going 1, 2, 3, call to order, acceptance of the agenda, approve the minutes. Then we'll go to approve the Board of Ed deficit. Then we go to easement approvals. Then we go to,
Wait.
Transportation.
What about security?
We have
Yeah,
security
security.
first,
Then the deficit.
all
then the
right, so you
deficit.
want to make that one, where? That's going,
Right after the minutes is security,
oh, all right.
Then deficit.
then deficit, then easements,
Then the appropriation.
then Great Island,
Appropriation.
Okay,
and then,
4. 5.
so, I do have a question.
Wait, before you start, let's make sure he's got the numbers.
We got the first 4.
All right,
whether
so
or not we're
I've
going
got-
to 5.
Call, the call to order, acceptance of the agenda, approved minutes.
Deficit.
Then, special appropriation for security, then approve the Board of Ed deficit, then easements, and then special appropriation for Great Island,
Bonding.
and,
Bonding for Great
The
Island?
rescind the
Yeah,
bonding.
it's an appropriation and bonding for Great Island.
yeah, right. for
Okay.
Great Island, right,
So-
okay.
Before we go for the rest of this, and this is worthy of discussion, if we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, the question is, that can be a very long conversation. We want people to participate, but at the same time, we still have other business to do. So, are we gonna put a time limit on how much we can allocate? Or, I mean, I'm not for making that the last thing in the meeting, because people might leave. But I'm just,
No, I have no problem giving folks, well, I'll ask how many people got comments first. And that will get an idea what we're dealing with. And then I give them, a couple of minutes. Is that me?
So I think you might need to, you can certainly do that, but I think you might need to let people know ahead of time. Because if anyone does want to get up and speak, and they've prepared anything, I don't know if they will or not, they would need to know ahead of time, you have X amount of minutes. But when was the last time we put a time limit on things? I just don't know.
we do it for
Do it,
most
yeah.
public comment, but
Right.
in this particular case, I don't know that 2 minutes, because this is going to be an emotional conversation. Let's not kid ourselves. This is going to be an emotional conversation. And I don't think on something that is this important to both sides of this decision, that 2 minutes is fair to the people who are in favor or the people who are against.
Okay.
Data point, we did bag, public hearing, in plastic bag. We have a 3-minute template.
Yeah, but this isn't.
Just point of information.
This isn't the plastic bag. There's not the same emotions on this as the plastic bag. So you may want to cap it to saying 4 to 5, but because of that, I'm just saying that do we do the rest of our business first and then go to the pledge?
Yes.
I think those are 2 separate questions in my mind, which is the order and how much time you limit the speakers to. I don't know that they're related. I understand your logic, Jack, but I would want to look at those two things independently of one another.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we don't lose people, so we don't have enough of a quorum to get done with the rest of our business that day.
Your 5 minutes is a limit, and you'll lose people.
I think 5 minutes is a very long time.
Yeah, 3
Okay.
minutes I think is adequate.
I would have said 2.
I think there's reason to stick with whatever we've historically used. I seem to recall 3 minutes. I don't know that we've consistently.
But that's what we used to, and that's what you did.
We've,
But recently, 3 minutes.
I have been using 2.
2, have you?
I always
Yeah.
thought it was 2, but if there's
Yeah.
precedent to do more, I would support that, Mark, but it seemed as though you can get your point across in 2 minutes, if you know that you have 2 minutes.
Yeah.
My view on one
Well,
vote.
but,
Frank? Seth?
So I will go with 2
Seth,
minutes.
Frank?
Yes, yeah, Frank.
freewheeling here. Since Susan knows there'll be people who want to make their remarks and get a timing for it, and Jack knows that there'll be other remarks out there. Freewheeling, could we throw this out to a public hearing and then have the results, come before the RTM? I know the petition is done deal, we have 53 signatures on it, so we have to do something. But we could just define another framework for it, which would be, say, have a public hearing, and then and everybody has a chance to say what they want to say without particular time limits. For 5 minutes, how many, we get 12 people in an hour. 4 minutes,
No,
we go,
I-
but just to break out of the framework here. because
Yeah, I
we have a sort of-
think the problem is that you're restricted by the framework. The
Yeah.
framework is that you have a petition, and the petition has met the requirements, and it ideally would have been on the agenda before now, if it hadn't have been for some.
Absolutely,
Other
but
things,
but
so-
there's no fine print that the petition needs to be taken up within a certain time frame.
That's all.
And so if we can escape that again, because we have put it off, but with all the stuff that we've got to deal with,
Yeah,
I'm just offering it as
I
a
think
way
it's-
around, a workaround on this thing.
the public hearing isn't gonna
No,
do anything
Petitioners
for you.
deserve a vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
The item is on the floor, it's up for debate, and that's what decides the vote.
so,
Yeah,
So-
yeah,
Kristen has to.
Yeah, I just wanted to,
Kristen, yeah.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to clarify the concept of the time limit. As I understand it, that time limit has applied to members, non-RTM
And
members,
members.
members of the public, electors, other officials. I can certainly try to do some research, but I don't know that that time limit has been applied to RTM members. So I wanted to clarify just so,
I agree with you, Kristen.
You might be right.
but,
I would say that you should not have a time limit for any RTM member, because it's our right as a representative to have our time at the podium.
I think it's reasonable to set a time limit for the benefit.
Well,
Of everybody.
disagree.
I
I
just-
don't have any particular, feeling, I've used 2 minutes, but,
I don't think
If-
2
if
minutes
others-
is sufficient.
want to add, I don't have any problem with 3 minutes.
and the member can always call the question too. I mean,
Yeah.
anybody in the audience, any member can always call the question.
Yes,
That's
but
right, but-
that
Seen that
requires a
happen.
vote. But,
Right.
Yeah.
all right, so what I'm hearing, and this is why, getting back to what we were originally talking about, I'd like to make sure that we're doing all of the rest of our business before we get to the pledge. Because we have business here that needs to be done.
I don't
So.
think anyone's objected to that.
I know, so,
Yeah.
so when we were going to, after Great Island, then let's go for what the rest of that thing is.
Do you want to have the vote on the time of the RTM start time before the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah. I don't think the pledge should be last, but, I think it's important. I agree with you, Jack, we have a lot of important business, but I think we're, we've been, this was originally proposed in February. It was not successful at rules. There was no meeting in April. We decided not to do it at the budget. So, you know, I don't know if you're concerned people are gonna walk out before this and then we won't have a quorum, so I don't think it should be the very last thing. I think maybe the timing should be the last thing.
I agree. I have no problem with that. But I do think, though, that after the Great Island, we can then, because some of these are real quick, we can then do the Green Bank next.
That's it, right?
No.
The reimbursement.
And
And
then the reimbursement.
the reimbursement, and then the rescission.
And there's a deadline with that reimbursement too.
Well, I thought the
Yeah.
rescission was part of Great Island, would be part of the.
No, it's a different,
No, I know it's different, but yet it's Great Island.
yeah, but no, Great Island is only, we're separating the two of those. They're two different
I
resolutions.
know, I understand that, but I would think you would put them one
Next to
after
each
the other, that's all. But not, you don't.
That's fine, but I'm not gonna argue on that. But then,
Okay,
So where do you have the rules?
so let's go through this again.
so here, let me go through this here. Call to order, acceptance of the agenda, approve of the minutes. Where's the special appropriation for security? Approve the Board of Ed deficit,
Right,
easement approvals,
right.
special appropriation for Great Island,
Master plan,
master plan,
Great Island rescission,
Great Island, all right, we're gonna go rescind there and then approve Green Bank?
then Green Bank,
And pledge.
No,
No.
reimbursements.
reimbursement,
Oh, got it, yep, forgot that, I missed that.
And this becomes.
This becomes 10. Okay,
then pledge,
pledge, and then new start time.
new start.
Everybody get that? I realize,
And, yeah, I'm just, I wish. they
I'm
would
coming with
not
whiteout
have
next time, dude.
on the June agenda, and I understand
I just
to
want to
push
make
it
one
forward.
statement. I hope that every RTM member stays till the very end of the meeting. And I hope there's no games played, that's all I'm gonna say.
What games are
Good enough.
you referring to?
That's
I'm
what
gonna
I'm
call
gonna
you
say.
out on that. What games are you referring to?
Jack, that's all I'm gonna say.
No, you made a comment, I'm calling you out. What games are you referring to?
Jack, enough, stop, no more.
I don't
No,
like that
no,
comment.
No.
It's not
He
towards,
didn't
I
say
said,
anything,
I
just- that was a
meant
statement,
to
but
every RTM member. I didn't say to
That's
rules,
it.
every RTM member, that's all.
And the
I'll
public
permit
needs
it
to
to
be
that
able to
point,
speak
but
too,
no
right?
more.
No, Seth, no, why are you shutting this off? I think that, I'm curious, because I don't know what games could be played, so I'm partially asking, what are we talking about?
Maybe those are undefined, I don't know.
They are undefined. I just said it to every RTM member, that's all. I'm not trying to start anything. I'm just saying, I just hope every.
I mean, I
RTM
hope that there's a good conversation one way or another. That's all I'm hoping for.
Can we move a motion for the agenda?
I'm ready.
I'll
You
move a
want to read it
motion.
for
Thank
the
you,
agenda?
Pat.
So
Second.
everyone-
You want,
You have it, Mark?
okay,
Do you have it?
Have Mark read it.
you
Yeah, why
guys,
don't Mark read it?
No,
all right. Ready,
Yes. Got it.
ready,
all right, I remember
okay.
that.
Call to order, that's what I got. Acceptance of the agenda, approve the minutes, I'm doing very well on the first three. The one I keep losing here is 4, special appropriation. You approve the Board of Ed deficit,
No.
Yes.
Then-
Yeah, special,
Yes.
security.
Security.
Security and
okay,
deficit.
yeah, special appropriation for security, that's 4. 5 is approve the Board of Ed deficit. 6 is the easement approvals. 7 is the special appropriation for Great Island master plan. Then rescinding part of the bonding resolution,
Right,
okay? Then approving Green Bank,
right.
then approve the reimbursement to the state for the central office. Okay? Then we're doing Pledge of Allegiance. and approving the new start time.
Super.
Who's making that motion?
It was already made.
I made
Oh,
the
that was
motion.
Patty.
Patty,
I
jump
think
right
you
in.
seconded it, Mark.
You second, who?
You.
I moved, didn't you second it?
Did
I'll
I?
second it, Mark did.
So solo. did.
Mike is seconding. All in favor, please? Okay, opposed? Gotta look carefully here. I see none. Abstentions, I see none. Motion passes. I have one little piece of business.
Oh, I'm sorry, can I ask one more question? I apologize. Back to the Pledge of Allegiance. Will the agenda state a time limit for members and/or public?
I can do that if that, everybody, you want me to publish it in advance, that's not a problem.
I think that you can put a time limit on public talking. I tend to agree that members of the RTM should have the right to express themselves and, and if it takes 3 minutes, fine, if it takes 5 minutes, fine, but, that they should be able to speak their mind without watching the clock.
I want a time limit
Mr. Moderator,
on this.
what is the process to go onto the floor and request that you lift the time limit?
The moderator sets the time limit.
And there's no process that the committee?
No, I say I recognize, if there are any comments from the floor, I will allow each member of the RTM X number of minutes.
But Robert's.
Because otherwise, you could filibuster.
Yes.
You could go on each person could go on for 20 minutes, and you can't do that.
Well, someone will call the question and you.
But you
Well-
can, under Robert's Rules of Order, allocate your time to somebody else to speak.
Yes.
So you have 100 people, you're gonna,
That's the process.
We're either following Robert's Rules of Order or
I'm
we're
not
not.
saying we're.
Mr. Moderator, can I ask another process question?
Yes.
What is necessary to table an item?
Somebody could move to table it to a certain date.
Okay, so
But,
that member would have to come up and be recognized,
right,
ask to table the item
right,
to, let's say, December meeting, or whatever.
yeah, a certain
And
date.
then what percentage of the body needs to approve it?
I think it's 2/3, I'd have to check, but I think it's 2/3.
Could you check, because that would be, okay.
Not debatable.
What do you mean not table?
That's nice.
No, any member
Okay.
can table something, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
go to the floor, and has to be voted. I just want to know whether it's
That's right.
2/3 or 3/4.
Yeah, and it's not three, it's either 2/3 or
Two-thirds or
majority, I think it's
Majority.
2/3.
One or the other,
Majority.
yeah.
Okay.
I think, I'll check it. I will have it by the time.
I appreciate that, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, I was about to say, I had one last thing. Lois has something to report.
So I have some good news, not a debate. The equipment in the auditorium will start being installed in July.
Yay.
So fingers crossed that when we meet in September, you'll be able to hear everything and see everything.
Nice.
So
Thank you to you
Got that
and Mike
buzz.
and Mark
without the
for
buzz
your
and
hard
without
work.
the
Absolutely.
as well.
Case
Yeah.
of happy
Should be very
life.
exciting.
Yeah, well done, tech committee.
We'll see, but anyway,
good.
it's on the schedule. The auditorium is reserved for implementation starting the end of June, early July. And thanks for the ARPA funds.
Yeah.
Okay, any other new business?
How much longer do we have our interns? to be here?
They are with us through the end of the week.
Having witnessed this, is there any?
They graduate on the 13th.
Is there
Alright.
any chance you can help our moderator set up the agenda so that it's on a whiteboard? He can just
Digital.
Just streaming, but thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you for the suggestion, Mr. Adel.
And please, after this meeting, show up tomorrow.
Okay, so, hearing what I heard, I'll go for people, not electors of the town, that comes after everybody. I'll go with them for like 3 minutes and go with 5 for members of the RTM, that sound reasonable?
Yeah, I don't think people are gonna take 5 minutes, but members of the public should be 2. We
Okay.
can limit that.
I think so.
Well, I think.
Oh, it's gonna get tough one, all
I think
right.
public
okay.
comment like. on the Board of
If Chief's
Ed.
gonna articulate.
All right,
Is it
good.
three?
Yeah,
So
you know what,
we-
Seth, I think, someone correct me, at the Board of Ed, I think it's 3 minutes
For public comment?
for public comment at the
Yeah,
Board of
I don't know.
Ed.
We can set our own,
Oh, we
You
can?
have a discretion, yeah.
Well, and going on Frank's.
that's why I asked this distinguished body.
But I think it would be nice to
Before I jumped out the plane door with no
I'm
parachute.
not counting them.
Yes,
whatever
sir.
number you say.
How many people are you going to allow the public? What if you have 100 people there that came?
We can always call the question.
You call the question.
Yeah. And I could suggest to people, electors of the town, that they have a caucus together and get some speakers together for themselves, you know. I've seen it done, we used to do, I won't get back into what year it was, but we used to do that.
Last century.
But I will remind any elected official that wants to state that what we should be doing, with the exception of the Board of Selectmen, and I believe one of the Monuments Committee is the other one that does it. You know, if some of these other boards want to tell us what we should be doing, I can remind them that they could do it themselves.
Yeah.
There we go. All right,
Hold on, Jack.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So
Oh, I
moved.
see hands everywhere. Is there a second from Michael? All in favor, please rise.
Thank you.
These are your-